like when you had a computer back in the 90s and 2000s, you needed a virus detector because there were things that could have happened to your computer that you were not going to be aware of because it's like invisible to you. It's in a different dimension per se. These viruses are attacking your computer and you have no idea. So you get a virus detector. That's essentially what TED is, but for like the human race. Meaning, instead of the virus detector defending your computer, TED is defending you because the the proliferation of AI is going to make so many things that are going to be invisible to the human eye as what's real and what's not. So the only way you could determine what's real and what's not is if you have a, like a Johnny Five essentially that's able to see it because it is it. And in doing so, to be able for that AI to detect what's real and what's not and what's good and what's bad, it has to implicitly know you as your virus detector would have to know your computer. So essentially, yes, we want Ted to essentially be the yin and yang to Steve, Steve being the biological version of Steve, and Ted being the machine version of Steve. And together, they're able to protect the entity that is Steve against biological and now machine threats. What do you mean by analytics for the user? So if I'm the user of TED, is Ted going to tell me, hey, Ant, 4 of the last Fridays you got Chinese food. Did you know that? Because that seems like probably not what you're talking about, but I don't know how to define analytics other than that.
Uh, I think I can show you in here. It's
Because if,
it's kind of
not to cut you off, but if, because actually it just gave me an idea, which is why I'm jumping in. Because if TED can produce analytics that it can then deliver to the user, kind of like a user report, but on the user, hey, over the last week, this has been what I've detected of you, in which case the user could almost map and graph their growth over years and years to see, oh, September 2020, I was really see you next Tuesday, but then February 2024, I was nice as apple pie. What happened in my life? Oh, I met Steve and got married in February 24, and I broke up with Anthony in September 2020 because he was like, I don't know, a bad person. My point being, like a computer can give you a status report of itself, if we can take what you're about to define to me as analytics and package it as a status report on the user, like that's being sent to the user on a weekly basis, now all of a sudden biometrics and analytics and the way they think and things that piss them off and all the rest, that's like the most, honestly, that can then be packaged into someone's healthcare for their doctor. It's almost like having the Apple Watch on you times a bazillion, if that makes sense.
yeah, that is it's that's I can't say exactly, but that's what this is.
That's a
It's
fantastic.
building what it's calling insights, right? So like this is the user preferences, for example. And there's a function in here called analyze preferences, right? And then in there it creates this insight to analyze the personality that this user's created. There's another part though. So there's a whole user insights database that it's creating an encrypted storage of what this user's AI is
The
or
TED,
what it's become. A TED card, yeah.
yeah, so essentially you're defining the TED card.
Yep, that's the user insights. That's what I mean. I have a different language. I think
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
on the
no,
same
no.
page now. Like I'm calling it user preference insight. It's like, but that's a TED card, right?
Okay, yeah, the TC. All right, good. Then we're on the same page. I'm like, that's a fantastic idea. Well, duh.
Yeah, right. So, uh,
So a lot of the things with the business is going to be by success kind of hands off. And what I mean by that is essentially what we're trying to do is eliminate, like fundamentally, I don't think a business owner and a customer have any business talking to each other. Now, could they become friends? Sure, but I think they would become friends as person to person. I think the only conversation that could be had between a business owner and a person is a sales conversation because it's innate, it's inherent and innate in the business owner to make a sale because of survival for one's business. The point being, I don't think under in any event that is 100% honest conversation, because there's always something the business owner wants to make a sale and the customer or business or consumer is looking to not get roped into buying something. So that's always going to be present. The point being, the way TED solves that is by TED, in identifying the user to infinity and beyond, will understand, hey, Steve, is using his last pencil today. He's going to need new pencils. Let me go ahead and recommend a local business and pencils and give him, hey, Steve, I know you need new pencils today. Click this link and you'll be able to buy them. Or, what we're really going for is the autonomous action. Hey, Steve, I bought pencils for you. They're on their way over. I know you're going to go through your last one by tomorrow. That's the perfected system. And in that perfected system, Steve never talks to the business owner. There's no reason to talk to the business owner because TED eliminates all the bridging that is being done very dishonestly, even if the intentions are honest. Because the only way for a business owner to get business is by communicating with people, because there is no intermediary that's perfected matchmaking the consumer with the business. I say all this because sure, people can refer businesses, sure, people can do those things, but those are not going to be things that we focus on, nor are they going to be natural. They're going to be a-natural. Because, for instance, for me to say, hey, Steve, I got this cupcake and it's the best cupcake ever, you should check him out, I'm referring you over. It's a conflictual conversation. Now you have to decide, do you want to be nice to me and accept it? Do you want to shun my recommendation? What does that say about you? What does that say about me? How long does it take you to decide that? Am I detecting that now you're shunning it? It becomes an unnatural conversation. So yes, I believe, recommending a business is natural in its niche. Like, hey, oh my God, I went to this massage therapist. She's great. She's so pretty. I know you go to massages, check her out. I think that actually is a good recommendation. I think somebody would say, oh, great. That's pretty cool because I do this. But it's going to be something that's going to be unnatural that the person has to come up with. So the spiel is, for all things business, we want to be completely hands off, because I don't want to touch it. I want it to just grow by itself under the premise and the rule and the guiding light that TED is matchmaking consumers and business, if that makes sense.
It does, yeah. I have another system that I think will help out with that, is templates. So the way that the templates work is for different messaging platforms, like WhatsApp, for instance. It has like a way to send a predefined message or something like that. So a user and a business might have like a exchange of options. Like you could say, I'm interested, I'm not interested, or like, like it would be very
So
limited.
I think that even falls into that category. Like, and again, we might just be talking the difference between 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0. So I do accept that you might be describing, hey, Ant, this is the way it has to be tomorrow, and that's fine. So I'm just going to describe what it's going to be in a perfected, world. TED is just going to do it. Like, Ted's going to be like, hey, Steve, you need new pencils. I got a place that you're going to love. Here, click the link and buy them. So there won't be any need to do, like for instance, even the business wouldn't have communication with the person. So say the person has a question though, like, yeah, I want to buy those pencils, but I want to ask a question. Essentially, the person would be able to, okay, hey, Ted, well, this is my question, like blah, blah, blah. TED would be the intermediary because the business is already subscribed to TED. Therefore, TED would have access to the business and essentially be the agent for the business as well. So Ted would go through everything the business has done or provided and said, and been able to answer the question. So the business wouldn't actually ever have a need to have any type of templated or default anything, because Ted is the person people are talking to. So if I want to buy a pencil, hey, Ted, I need to buy pencils. Great, I got the place. Well, before I buy that pencil, is it this, this, this? Yes, it's this. No, it's this. Do you want something more like this or more like this? Yeah, I
Oh, I
want.
see.
Yeah, so there would never be a communication of the business. The business, ideally, what we want to do is turn business into 100% focused on quality. All they need to do, all they should do, is worry about perfecting their product, which lowers the cost of the product and increases the quality of the product. The only reason businesses can't operate 100% on quality is because they have to do, i.e., well, I got to focus on the messaging. I got to focus on the marketing. I got to focus. We want to remove all of that. Ted is just going to be the Cupid for all things relationship, whether it's commerce or anything. So again, all of the things that you're describing, they might be templated. They might be things that we need to cut. They might be whatever. They might be 1.0s. I have no idea. But in a perfect world, and in the world that we're shooting for, they wouldn't even poke their head, because businesses will subscribe into Ted, and in that subscription, we obviously have to. I don't want to say build that out. There is a build out, but I think there's more onus on the forms and stuff that I'll have to create, because then the forms just get uploaded into Ted and it just goes into what you're doing. So this might be more lifting on my part. But so the business would say, okay, I sell pencils. This is everything about my business, everything about my pencils, blah, 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 blah. And they would put that in, which means they're now an active, basically for Rhino Street, what Ralph built, they have active fields, and now Ted has access to that main dock. So Ted has access to Steve, Ted has access to the dock of all of the businesses within the 20-mile radius, and now Ted plays matchmaker on behalf of both parties. So it's like Ted acts on the behalf of the user and on behalf of the business, but not on behalf of the business in terms of the goal being making the sale, on behalf of the business with the goal being accurately and 100% being as honest and transparent as what the business does. Essentially, by doing so, it then fulfills its main objective, which is being loyal to the user, by giving the user exactly what the user expects to get, by being able to define and represent the business to 100% accuracy.
So I think we are talking the same
Okay.
language there. And the only thing I have to do is cut out some of the messaging in the business. So there is the business search here is it goes by the geolocation.
Yeah.
And
I would
this
say
is
I would
just
say as rule of thumb, anywhere in this that has some type of templated answer or templated anything, well, not templated, that's the wrong word, has a preloaded response, is likely missing the mark somehow.
okay. Understood.
Yeah.
Suck at that. So I'm gonna be wrong, but I want to say like that this should be done like every day. I feel like I'm gonna finish it every day with the server. I feel like I'm gonna finish it and
Right.
then get it up. And then the app was making great progress. So I don't think it needs more than a couple days. If I keep going at this rate, I think this weekend we're gonna definitely have one of them done.
Okay.
And then with sole focus back to the app, it just I think needs a couple days to like
And then
use minimal features, just to get a minimal viable product out.
yeah.
It's how to implement TED into a Slack. So we could give this to somebody and their team could have Slack TED, right? So
Oh,
there
I
was
see.
some commands.
So, but would someone need to have Slack? Like,
No, it's just if they did and they wanted it, cool. It's just like, hey, we support Slack.
Wait, so we can give Ted a Slack Ted to anyone right now?
Yeah, so what I was gonna say is I'm here, right?
Yeah.
So again, this relies on this server going live.
Oh, so
So
you need the
we
server
need,
before anything else.
yeah, like that's the API. This is the server, the API, everything. It's all this project right here. And these tests are like everything. So once I get through them, I got tests for integration, um, each individual unit of code, and end-to-end tests. The end-to-end, so yeah, and then also performance tests, like how's it running on the server? How much do we need? How much RAM,
Yeah.
storage space, stuff like that. But yeah, we have a guide for integration for every service, and it's going to be a lot easier than it was. The AI is helping me be it's my gopher.
Yeah, no, I love that you like pretty much created a team. Like you needed a team and now you have one of like AIs, which is good.
Yeah, I got the two of them, the one that solves problems for me and the one that writes code for me.
I love it. All right, cool. All right, so then we're good for now, and I'm trying to think of like next deliverables. I'll check in with you Sunday. Hopefully, we have some server like, hey, server's working, this, that, and the third. What I would say is for next Friday, which is the 22nd, I do want um, I do want to put in a plan that will have TED live somewhere. I want him on that site before the end of this month. So if we could just take the whole next 7 days, you doing what you're doing, then presumably a week from now, that would be an easy conversation. Oh, okay, server's up. We can just move this over there, get me this, and we're good. If
Okay.
if
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, you asked for an estimate earlier and I was hesitant, but if that's the goal, I think it'll be actually earlier than Sunday. Because I feel like the server's like every day. It's like a boulder I'm pushing over the edge and I'm expecting it to just drop. It's ready.
hopefully
But
it's not too Cisfarian and the nightmare that your life is.
you see that happening over and over. No, I think we're good. And I think that after that, the app won't be a problem to add what it needs to talk to the server, finish out those features, and get it on test flight. Then the website, having it chat there, no problem. Slack, WhatsApp, no problem. Because we have the core. The rest is just integration.